Hi again, all my crafty friends. Who's ready for another 5 under $5 challenge? Today's video is part of the 5 for $5 challenge hosted by Missy from Crafty Cove DIY and Emily from Farm Charm Chick. This month's guest host is Jackie from Blessed Beyond Measure, and the theme this month is lemons. You will find links to all these amazing crafters along with a link to the playlist in the description below. So who's ready for DIY number 1? I picked up this little tray at a thrift store in Dahlonega, Georgia for $2. I had gone up to Dahlonega to help move my son back home for the summer. This was his freshman year at UNG. I used a screwdriver and removed the hangers from the back of this tray. So, I guess it was actually a picture, but when I saw it, I thought serving tray. Next, I had to remove the back off of the frame. The first thing I tried was using my Cricut scraper, and I gently began prying the back off. Once I had some space, I used my scissors to completely remove the back. I then used a pair of pliers to remove all the nails from the frame and from the backboard. I put some water in a bowl and added some Dollar Tree black acrylic paint. I haven't used any Dollar Tree paint, so I thought I'd give it a try. I mixed it well and began applying it to the frame. I was going for a gray stain look, like it had been out in the weather for a long time. I applied the mixture to the frame and then rubbed it off with a paper towel. And just look at that beautiful color. I really love how water and paint stain wood. I think it's so beautiful. I stained both the inside and outside of the frame with this mixture. Once I had dried all the stain with my hot air gun, I applied a messy layer of Waverly plaster paint. Like I said, I was going for a rustic, worn look, and I think I hit the frame out of the park. I love how it turned out. I really love the pattern on the bottom part, but it had a rip in the top corner. I tried ripping the edges and sanding the print, but just couldn't get it to look right. I was really disappointed because I wasn't going to be able to save this print. But then I remembered I had recently picked up one of the Simply Blessed calendars at Dollar Tree. Yes, I may be one of the only crafters who has not even opened this calendar yet. Well, that's because I finally found it about a week ago at my Dollar Tree, and it had been stashed in my car. I decided to go with the enjoy the little things for the bottom of my tray. It was definitely a hard decision, but I hope to be able to use other pages out of this calendar soon. First, I painted over the print with Waverly plaster chalk paint and dried it with my hot air gun. I applied a layer of Mod Podge and then the calendar page. It did wind up with some wrinkles in the paper, but I thought it gave it character, so I didn't mind that much. I didn't like the color difference between the background and the paper. So, I mixed some Waverly silver linings and plaster paint together until I thought it was a close match. I painted around the edges of the board and also the edges of the picture. Next, I used some Waverly elephant paint and a chippy brush to distress the entire thing. And just look at that, I am so in love. It looks like they were made for each other. To protect and seal it, I applied another layer of Mod Podge to the top. Okay guys, I have no idea what happened to the footage of me reattaching the frame, but all I did was put Gorilla Glue on the side pieces and then used some small nails and nailed them in to hold everything together. And just look at this. I love the way it all turned out and couldn't be happier with the results. Let me know in the comments what you think of this little tray or picture. For this DIY, I used this little picture frame I got from Dollar General. I thought it was the perfect size for tier tray decor. I used a utility knife and scored around the edge on the back of the frame to loosen up the glue, and then just simply push the back out of the frame. I then used a box knife to pry the fish off and put the fish to the side so I could use it on another project later. I used Waverly plaster chalk paint to paint everything. I found this cut file on Design Bundles. I sized it in Design Space and cut it using my Cricut. I applied the vinyl to my picture. I wanted the sign to be double-sided. I found the scrapbook paper in my stash and decided to cut out the edge with the birds on it. I used a glue stick to apply the scrapbook paper to the picture. To attach the board back inside of the frame, I applied hot glue around the inside edge of the frame and inserted the board back in it. I then applied Mod Podge to the scrapbook paper side. I used a ruler and found the center of the frame and attached it to this candlestick using hot glue. I painted the candlestick with the same paint I had used on the frame and then distressed it all with Waverly elephant chalk paint and a chippy brush. And just look at how stinking cute this little tier tray sign turned out. Now for our first DIY. I had this mug in my stash and wanted to do something with it. I used painter's tape and started laying vertical lines out, trying to keep them as straight as possible. And then it hit me. The mug is smaller on the bottom, so the way I was trying to lay it out just wasn't going to work. So I removed the tape and just eyeballed the position and tried to get the lines as straight as possible. Once I finally got the pattern the way I wanted it, I used an old gift card to make sure the tape was pressed down well. I was trying to get as little bleed through as possible on the mug. I then applied a layer of Mod Podge. I used Waverly Maze chalk paint and painted the stripes onto the mug. Once the paint had dried, I removed the tape. I didn't like the way the paint looked on the handle, so I just scraped the paint off of the handle. I thought the mug was really stinking cute, but I thought the mug still needed something. Ice. It needs an ice cube. But how do I make an ice cube that won't melt? Dollar Tree foamed ice. The same way you make marshmallows for hot chocolate. I used 4 Dollar Tree white balloons to cover up the dots on the dice. Cut out a cute little face on my Cricut and placed this adorable yellow stocking hat on the top. It was perfect. I actually did make the stocking hat for this, and once I have it down well enough to explain what I did, I'll create a video showing you how I did it. So if you want to be notified when I upload that video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification. I think the mug and ice cube turned out so stinking cute. Let me know what you think in the comments below. To create this adorable lemon garland, I first used this lemon cutout from a Dollar Tree pack I had in my stash. I painted the outside and the lemon slices with Waverly Maze chalk paint. Next, I painted the flesh of the lemon with Waverly plaster paint. I used a small tip brush and added the lemon seeds to the inside of the lemon slice. Now for the actual garland. I already had beads painted white from a past project. I painted several Dollar Tree wood beads with the same maze paint I used on the lemon slice. The Dollar Tree yellow beads were just too bright for me. I placed the first few beads on a skewer and then painted them. Then I remembered this trick I had seen on another YouTuber's channel, but I can't remember who it was. They placed paint in a plastic bag and then added their beads. And then, mushed them together, squished them all up, covered all the beads with the paint, and then poured them out onto a paper towel to dry. I thought I'd give it a try. The paint was kind of thick on the beads, so I used my paintbrush and just painted over them to spread the paint out. And then just let everything dry on a paper towel. I used a piece of painter's tape at the end of some twine. This helps to keep the twine from unraveling, and it also makes it easier to add the beads. The pattern I used was 2 white beads, 1 yellow bead, 2 white beads, and so forth until I ran out of beads. I drilled a hole in the top of my lemon slice and fed the twine through it and tied a small knot to hold it on. I decided to make a small tassel at the other end of the beads. To do this, I simply wrapped the twine around my fingers a few times. I pulled the twine off my fingers and wrapped the end of the garland through the middle of the tassel and tied a double knot. I trimmed the tassel at the end and wrapped a little more twine around the top of the tassel and used a dab of hot glue to hold everything together. And this is the sweetest garland, and it looks so good with all my other lemon tiara tray decor. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now for our first DIY. For this project, I used this little flower pot from Dollar Tree to make a tiara tray lemon tree. This is one of the pots that a succulent was in originally. I first painted the pot with Waverly Plaster chalk paint. I wasn't worried about getting full coverage because I knew I was going for more of a distressed look. I began distressing the pot using Waverly Maze and Elephant chalk paint and dry brushing both colors onto the pot. I picked up this greenery plant wrapped in burlap from Dollar General. I thought it was just so stinking cute. I removed the burlap and cut down the foam at the bottom and arranged everything in the little pot. Next, I cut up the burlap and placed it in the pot on top of the foam around the tree. Now for the lemons. I used 20 8mm beads, and I placed the beads on a small skewer and painted them with the same maize chalk paint I had used on the pot, and then set them on a paper towel to dry. Once the beads were dry, I used hot glue and attached them to the ends of the tree. I had to trim the top leaf off of the greenery, and then I placed a small amount of hot glue in the hole of the bead and then simply slid the bead onto the limb. I found this piece of ribbon in my stash and hot glued it around the top of the pot. This little lemon tree turned out amazing. It actually looks better than what I expected. And look how cute it is on my lemon tiara tray. If you haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. I upload weekly home decor DIY videos, and you know you don't want to miss any of them. So go ahead and hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when I upload a new video. Until next time, happy crafting!